They slash them. Not gonna lie, the title is a really creative play on words and really clever. I wish the rest of the film could say the same, to be quite honest. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to For the Agenda. My name is Huang, and today I'm going to be talking about the newest film that hit Peacock this weekend, They Slash Them. Now, this film is about campers who are at an LGBTQ plus conversion camp who endure unsettling psychological techniques while the campsite is being stalked by a mysterious killer. So, the premise is meant to be this slasher horror film. At least that's what the trailer sold us. And I will be honest, I had hope for this film. And after watching it and after sitting with it for a while, I feel very let down. I thought this film had so much promise and it felt wasted. Now, one of the important things in a slasher film is the opening kill. This sets the tone for your movie. And while the reasoning behind it is explained way in the third act, I thought it was okay. It was just fine. I've seen that kind of opening done before and done better. Plus, the movie itself, it's slow. Like, the first kill happens, then we gotta wait like 40 minutes after that for a second film? How's that a slasher film? That's not exactly typical for a lot of slasher films, especially nowadays. And honestly, the film felt so slow that, I don't usually pause movies. And I ended up pausing this film twice, and I did some other stuff before coming back to it. So that should tell you enough about how engaged I was with the story. I really didn't connect with it. Again, I really liked what the trailer offered, but this just wasn't it. For a film that calls itself a slasher, there's not a lot of slashing. What there is feels predictable and very much fright free. I wasn't really scared for, you know, our group of characters. I really didn't feel that tension. It felt as if this film wanted to be a psychological thriller about the horror of conversion therapy, and that could have worked. But since this is presenting itself as a slasher film, missing a lot to be a slasher film, and especially the tension. Where is the tension? There's no tension in this film. When you are in a horror film, a slasher film, you are setting up a killer's arrival. You feel tense. You feel a bit of anxiety if it's done really well. You're feeling like, okay, this character is not sure if they are alone. This character doesn't feel safe and is unease. Here, the reveals for that are so quick that it's like there's no build up to it. And when there's no build up, it's not exciting. And that is a problem. The film itself, it doesn't feel like a traditional slasher film that we were expecting. A couple of us, I think it's safe to say we were expecting Queer Friday the 13th and excitement, but we don't even get that. It would, if anything, I do think that the film tried to do a lot. Tried to tell like two movies in one, as if it was trying to do a whole Fear Street trilogy in one in terms of how many ideas I wanted to throw in there. And essentially, I got more of a focus on the narrative of showing the struggles of existing as a member of the LGBTQ plus community and why. And I liked some of the things I had to say. I also appreciate the message of queer resilience and survival. It just feels like there's a lot of wasted potential here because that would have been such a strong thing to go with and a slasher film, but this film couldn't manage that, unfortunately. You know what, honestly, there's so much that's trying to be covered here in its runtime. This honestly could have worked better as a mini series. So everything got the proper development it needed to have. And at one point, I was there thinking, this reminds me of American Horror Story 1984. And those who know me know I did not like that season. I felt that also had great promise, but at one point flopped. And I felt the execution there was better than here. And for me to say this, I think alludes to how I feel about this film. It's very much a letdown. The film itself, I actually felt was pretty boring. There are moments that at times felt preachy, and I was like, come on, let's move past this. Now, there is a clip going around right now on film Twitter, which is the sing along to a Pink ballad. And out of context, yeah, I can understand how it's cringy. But in the film itself, I honestly thought it was one of the better moments, which I think says a lot about what happens throughout the film. And now, a slight spoiler, I had to take a star off my rating for this, and it's something I hate when that happens in films. And that is when they threaten or harm an animal. You know, in this case, it's a dog. I felt that that scene wasn't necessary. I don't think it added anything. I just felt like really uncomfortable. And for dog lovers out there, animal lovers, really, I think this will really, really just kill the tone, especially because they show the aftermath. It's not gory or bloody, but the fact that it happens is very unsettling. So, fair warning. It's also in a slasher film, especially one that's paying homage at times to either Sleepaway Camp or Friday the 13th. There's usually a good chase scene, and here there isn't one. That's honestly a problem in a slasher film because that's where the excitement is. That's where you can create some of the tension. That's where you worry for a character you like. And that wasn't here. I felt kind of cheated out of that. And the killer here, honestly, they're unmemorable. There's not an identity, there's no backstory really to it. It's just all set up in the third act as if it were to go, wait, we just did a whole psychological thriller. Well, we were a slasher film. So let's pull some pieces together to just tie it up in a nice knot. That's how it felt, really, with the huge reveal. Now, I know it sounds like I'm bashing this film like crazy, but I do want to give credit where credit is due. First off, the young actors here, they do a really good job portraying their characters, and they're doing the best they can to elevate the material. And while they weren't like the best written characters, the acting I thought was good. Given what they had to do, I thought the acting was good. And the line delivery at times sometimes felt awkward, but it felt intentional since it was normally during a moment that showcased like a stereotype and they are teenagers. So I think as an adult, I'm supposed to feel that way. I'm giving it that benefit of the doubt. But either way, you still root for the characters who are LGBTQIA plus. And while I thought the killer reveal was a little predictable, I ended up understanding the motive and I wouldn't say agree, but, when you put into perspective why the killer does what they do here, I was like, okay, if that's the point, great. But by the end of the third act, when they are revealing everything, I can't help but feel like it was an afterthought. But I liked the idea. Had this stuck to being a slasher film and set this up properly, I think this could have really pulled it off. And I really would have liked it even more, but I like the idea behind it. I also will give John Logan, the director and writer, points for trying to make something different for the genre. The intention was in the right place. The inclusion provided in this film with these queer heroes, I really like to see that. But honestly, had this film known what it wanted to be, again, psychological thriller or camp slasher horror film, there's a way to do both, but I don't think this film does it successfully. And if it did, it would have been so much stronger. Unfortunately, this isn't the queer horror film that was expected, but you can't deny that the community that this was meant for deserves better. And if anything, what you can take away from this film is that a vision can exist where there can be specific LGBTQIA plus representation and storytelling within really any genre. But in this case, the horror genre, especially when these stories land. I hope that future projects will hopefully learn from this and deliver some better queer horror stories. I think they slash them. The heart was in the right place, but the execution flopped, if I'm being quite honest. My rating for this film is a 3 out of 10. Again, I had hope for they slash them, but unfortunately, it does not deliver the slasher film it was marketed to be. The cast delivered, and its inclusive premise had promise. But tonally, this is just so messy. And really, again, I don't pause movies. And the fact that I paused this movie not once, twice, and I did other stuff and I came back to this eventually says way too much. I started this film at like 4 p.m. and I'm recording this review at like 11. So this film unfortunately has not a lot of excitement and it just misses the mark. It's a horror film that forgot to act like it was a horror film. And it was honestly at times like it felt afraid of its own potential. So that is my review of They Slash Them. You can watch this now on Peacock. And I thank you so much for watching this review. If you like this video, you can hit the like button and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And you can follow me on Twitter and Letterboxd at Leading Mohicans. And remember, regardless of what others feel about the things you love, it's always for the agenda. Bye.